Because otherwise, I mean, it's so difficult to work with an instrument like that.
Yeah, it's very difficult. All the composers who
struggle.
wrote, they struggle a lot, and they told me how difficult it was. This one, Jean-Luc Farfan, who wrote the big piece, he was already doing something. He was, I mean, his music is quite complex and things. He just broke everything and said, well, I cannot do this. And finally it becomes something more simple and more minimalist. He said, well, I have to go to the Africa. They brought this way, they do the music repetitive and things because it needs, I cannot do. So otherwise it was something always the same. So now they invite a structure which becomes kind of trance for you. It's kind of Steve Reich in one way, but more colored. And he makes change with the drums, and he makes change with only like one modulation he can do. You can feel it. And with the orchestration, he is. I mean, this piece I love it. It's fantastic. I find it's masterpiece what he wrote. But he was 3 years fighting, trying to do. He started to do two different ways. Then he broke, and then he started. In the end, more simple and more African in one way. But of course, no one African will write like that. I mean, they don't write. Well, today is different. In South Africa, you have conservatoriums, and the people start to learn.
Miquel, I've got a question. What do they think about the music that European composers like Ricardo or anyone will do with their instrument?
Well, I sent a little bit of this 2 minutes or something.
Did you?
Yeah, he said, wow, fantastic thing. But I have to ask when I with him again to see, and to maybe to show more other people. I will be interested to show to him the old man.
Because I guess that
to get the blessing.
What?
To get the blessing.
No, just to note an opinion. You know, talking with him, you learn a lot of things because I was talking about I was asking, but you do new compositions? And then he was telling, I was thinking a long time. Yeah, but what do you mean, new compositions? Yeah, when you play, I mean, you have the traditional music and say traditional, no, each time I play it's new. I start to think, for them don't think like also historically, we try to do events to make a story and try to do in the future events which make a story or something. But for them, this is another thing, you know.
It's kind of a more personal way of traditional approach.
And they seem to have less...
They don't think about tradition now. I mean, now they say it, but they think something else.
Perhaps less sense of appropriation of the music as composers, well, performers, composers. So
because in fact it's composer and performer, so each time it provides different and...
So that the fact that you commission someone to write for this instrument is a contradiction in its own, because it doesn't make sense to...
For him it doesn't make sense.
It's just melodies that pass from generations to generations, probably.
Yeah. The thing is, we tend to write the things as we see it, but we don't admit that, or admit less than some people see the things completely different than us. See the world of how it's structured totally different for him. So that will be curious for him what that makes. But, well, to show his composition and things.
You think they might incorporate some of the elements that is covered in this new
yes, because in fact they are very open. So
like new timbers, new ways to play.
This way, this I discovered with him. Yeah. These things one, and they probably never tried this. So it's possible they are very open, and they discuss about this. They talk and do his appreciation. I cannot say aesthetic love because I don't know if they think in this way, but just for what we think, yes, it can be aesthetical. Talking about is this okay, is not okay.
I think it's very important to be aware of these things because electroacoustic composers tend to get the microphone and go places and steal sounds from cultures, from sounds that have a ritual aspect behind, and I think at least we need to be aware that this is there's something behind that sound. Whether or not you want to, I don't know, make use of that aesthetically or not, but you have to be aware of that and be respectful for it. Maybe. Yes. I mean, that's why we send all the students doing that to Caroline, just to get some advice.
Yes, and me, and be open to don't think that the work have to be in the way we think it of.
There's also the idea quite often that the music is already in the instrument, so all
Yes.
you're doing is making the instrument speak.
Yeah.
So in that sense you can compose something that you think is completely new in your terms, but it was actually already in the instrument and you've just brought it out. So, but there's also that thing about a composition not having one definitive form. There's just endless variations, and sometimes people will be listening to a traditional piece, but it will take them quite a long time to decide which piece it is, and then they'll say, oh yeah, it's that one from the 13th century. I thought it was, but I wasn't quite sure. A bit like ragas, because it takes a while to settle. But that blurring of the boundary between composer and performer.
Yeah, because they don't have this distinction.
No,
also.
not at all.
Yeah.
So
No,
it's the
so
same
you're
thing.
always creating it anew.
Yeah.
But it's always traditional at the same time.
Exactly.
But
We-
going back, sorry, I just wanted to go back to tuning. Presumably there's also something about the character, when notes are very, very close, there's something about the character of an individual note being bound up with the way that the harmonics work, with a particular key, with a particular piece of wood, isn't there? So that you could have two that could be sort of technically the same from an outsider perspective, but that key would have a different character when you played it, and sometimes you're...
So that the fundamental is more or less the same,
sometimes
but
yeah.
the sound or the harmonics is
And
completely
so the way that the harmonic field works,
Yeah.
when you play that note in a certain way, because there are some of them, Zimbabwe and Mbira, where you can hardly hear the fundamental. What you get is one of the harmonics.
Yeah.
But with a different instrument that's tuned technically in the same way,
Then it's
it
a
could
way
be a different harmonic that was coming
that
to the
is coming out. Yeah,
surface.
probably it is. And
So you've got a whole field of harmonics rather
Yes,
than a
yes.
D or a B flat minus
Yes,
3 commas or whatever it is, whatever you might decide it's tuned to. That's not really what you're hearing.
what you will hear, yeah.
What you're actually when you're tuning the instrument, that's not how you're tuning it. You're tuning
Yes.
it according to the resonance of the different harmonics.
Probably is this, yeah.
In
Yeah,
fact, the
probably it's
analysis,
really
important for
interesting.
the
them.
analysis I made had 3 harmonics,
Yeah.
harmonic partials.
Ah, yes.
I
Yeah.
put the fundamental and
Yeah.
had it after.
Yeah, probably this is important for them.
Yeah.
Because I was telling
Yes.
the exact days, but this is it's a bit lower than that, at least
Yes.
one comma. So, no, it's not.
That's
And
the
now
point.
we are tuned really.
Yeah.
And they are different. I feel that the other timbilas, they are not.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, he find this, the harmonics and the
Yeah.
distance, the how long it rings.
Mm.
That's, and then if it's more or less the chord, they said that now it's tuned.
But for that reason, it's also really interesting combining it with electroacoustic ways of doing things, as opposed to trying to match it to a melody on, I don't know, an electronic keyboard or a clarinet or anything that has a fixed pitch that you can't vary in the same way. So I would think that they would find that really interesting, because you've got more of the harmonic field happening in the electroacoustic music in a way that it doesn't necessarily if you're just trying to decide what that's tuned to in terms of notes on a piano.
To learn, I do this to a chord, to a piano,
Yeah.
to know what is it, because I learn it this way. It's
Yeah.
my culture, and I listen that way.
Yeah, we're listening to the instrument perhaps in a
Mm.
more Western way
Yeah.
in that regard, because I mean it kind of makes you think of like certain aspects of improvisation in raga music where
Yeah.
the scale is not set and the player defines certain microtonal qualities, if I'm right about how it's done. And if you've got kind of different, marginal different tunings in different sort of areas in which these are being played, presumably that not only goes towards defining the characters of those areas, but also
Yes.
the individual players
Individual
and how they
players
do it. But again, we're talking about this perhaps a little more focused on the tonal qualities than they may be, where it may be, as you say, a more sort of timbral sort of
Yes.
thing. So,
To do with where you put the stresses as well,
Yeah.
which notes you stress.
Yeah, they evaluated a lot the distinction. We try to uniformize the things, and if the other villas they do this way, and that's important. That's for them this different, the different tuning, give to the song. Sometimes they play different songs in different tunings because the balance is different.
Yeah.
But for them, they say, well, no, to have this different here, give to the song. That's nice.
Yeah.
For the others, no. For the others,
Yeah.
no. It's and they have discussion. Like the Italian, how is made the pesto. These villas have this own recipe. So, and I think that's richness.
yeah.
Instead of pesto is this, and everybody in the world we can make commercialize the pesto in this way. No, the other way around. I think we find more under what they sell than what we get, what we buy. I mean, and then for them the same. But of course, they have the match with the Occidental. It makes chances and make chances. In some aspect, I think it's good. In some others, not. Some others will lose something, but this is part of the life also. And I think it's important also. We comes to our perspective. It's important to give something with our perspective, but also to try to understand the other perspective. Because then maybe we are losing something there that we don't understand. But if to make this effort, it also maybe will open our understanding of the life itself.
I have a question for Ricardo actually, just about your approach to.
It's not my workshop, so
Yeah.
no, don't accept questions.
When you went kind of to explore this in an electroacoustic context, I mean, how did you approach the electronics aspect of it? Was it something that you tried to relate to it culturally, or were you just looking to explore this almost as a sound source?
Well, you normally when you start a new piece, you tend to use a little bit of the resources and techniques and plugins and software that you have from other pieces and see how they transform sounds. I think in this case the instrument dictated a lot the compositional process in the studio, so it was not me just moving the knobs there.
But how much of it might have been, was any of it dictated by the music?
No, I think it was the instrument itself and
Yeah.
the respect you have for the culture behind, because, you know, as you hear yesterday, there were little transformations. It was more or less like pitch shifting and extending the resonators in very, very different ways, but, you know, 100 different ways to re-resonate the membrane of the pad. These sort of subtleties that makes the instrument different, but also very close to the you know, respecting the nature of the instrument. So I could have used any strange, far away from the instrument synthesis process, but I didn't. And I don't know exactly why, but probably in my mind there was something like keep close, and find more within the detail than, you know, because the instrument itself is just the resonators and the detail.
Yeah, the bass
So
one
makes
certainly
it different from the marimba. You know, when this instrument got westernized, you just got the beauty out of it, you know.
But the bass one was the natural.
Yeah, yeah.
It sounds in the side, but it
yeah.
wasn't. Well, some was, but some was just boom because it sounds already.
Yeah.
I somehow when I listen the bass and when I'm there, it's a. In fact, we are very advanced to try to find big sounds, and they are also in the to bring out different instruments, different sounds.
I like the sound.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very nice.
So fast and didn't miss one note.
Because they're so tight together.
Yeah. First for them.
I think it's just
Well, you can see he has his position is very, you know. Like
Yeah.
I thought you were saying happy birthday for a second.
take another instrument, then really.
In a piano, you get rid of the black notes. Like
Yeah, you are
they're
lost.
all the same. But
Yeah.
you get more or less guitar. That's that
Yeah.
one is.
But for example, his piece was written for another one because this is 18 notes, and he wrote for the 19 ones. The other, and I was starting to do this, but then I told him, well, you know, in the airport, one note because it's a low one note less, and you only use it 3 times. It's less big, less weight, and maybe it's better for traveling to take pieces a little smaller.
Have you got a flight case or something for?
I just have a carton.
Sorry.
Cardboard.
Here.
Very professional.
And we have to buy the wrap. This.
Very professional.
They opened it. You just opened it. You tore it open. It's like you're gonna have to buy it.
Are you
Wow.
controlling your instrument or
Yeah, yeah.
instrument or something normal?
I had luck. Normally they wanted to charge more than I was getting here.
Yeah, of course. I mean, big and heavy as well.
And then I say, well, I want to risk, and I had luck in the coming here. I don't know now, but it depends the person. I even have luggage to check in, and then she considered it like a luggage,
Yeah.
and didn't pay the extra. It was like 10 kilos more. Normally I had 23 kilos. I think it was like 30, like more 30. And she said, well, no. I don't know what depends on who are up there. And the canchas a lot.
I think we would maybe try and get a flight case or something more
More,
easier to.
to carry more
Yeah.
sugar.
Yeah.
But also it makes a lot of, it's more heavy,
Yeah.
transport. And
Yeah. True.
this I can break because it's only the carbon and foams.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can take it in the hand.
Yeah.
And it's not easy to mount little pieces.
I know I cannot mount because this bar is the same, it's a one.
Yeah.
And this also, anyway, the distance is the same.
Yeah.
I can always have to use all this. Yeah, this is just one piece. So this is more, this is very fresh. But Chuve, when he knows I was coming, always telling me, be careful with the masala. With this. Careful. So, but I told, when I arrived, I told that at least in the coming here, they are safe. Let's see tomorrow what happens. They also follow that. Yeah. This is on the other side.
Very flexible. You see when you hold this. It's
Yeah.
very flexible.
Very flexible, but if you resist,
Yeah.
you can follow it like that.
Quite like to try and
But this is
make
different
one
wood, right?
myself.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah, maybe
I'm
it's
very
more,
bad at physics, though. I think I'd be hopeless.
This wood is different to the
Yeah.
right?
This is the sonic one, yes, exactly. This is what they will probably have there.
Excellent.
Thank
Great.
you.
All right.
Might be our first and last time to play
We could go on a summer school.
Yeah.
Definitely
Do you have many students? Do you teach people?
No, I don't teach on that. No, this not in the band with our group.
We need to go
We
to
do
the
with
Yeah, I
them.
think so. Yeah.
A lot of the universities do.
Yeah, maybe in the future we.
Yeah.
University of Ghana does it. Yeah, no, quite a few universities.
Oh, right,
do
yeah,
just
okay.
summer schools in
Yeah.
the musicians.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the most on my list.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Put them in the lift and everything. It's simple.
All right, is it an easy answer to the question? Do you want the quotas?